Okay. We on? Good. Hey, thanks everybody for, I know you have some choices of sessions you could be sitting through right now. So I appreciate you staying on with me for the next 25 minutes or so. I know I'm the last person between you and lunch, so I'll try to be within time. I'm not going to go over, of course. Everybody wants to eat. Well, I want to give you some quick background on me. I'm Matt Langie. I joined InsideSales.com just a few months ago as the Chief Marketing Officer. The business has gone through a lot of changes, so I think you're going to see a lot more exciting things coming from us. So those of you that are our current customers, how many folks have used InsideSales.com in the past? How many of you still are using InsideSales.com? Okay, not as many. And so frankly, we've made some mistakes as a business in the past, and we're fixing many of those things. Some of the things I want to share with you today are some of the exciting things that we're investing in. And frankly, it relates to a lot of the things we just heard over the course of this morning and just right now. I mean, how many of you think your job is easy? Right? It's not. It's super, super hard. And so why are we buying all these tools to make our jobs easier if sometimes they're not really doing that? And that's kind of a fundamental premise and kind of a big thought idea I want to share with you guys this morning on CRM as a dead end. How many of you are using CRM? I should probably see every hand in the room go up, right? If you're not, we can have someone talk to you outside the door there and understand why. But if you're using CRM, you have to ask the question, well, why isn't it living up to the promise that Tom Siebel and Mark Benioff and all these visionaries that started the CRM industry way, way back in the day, how come it's not delivering today? And let me walk you through some data of what is today's reality and why CRM has become that dead end and why we've had to extend the value of it with other tools and frankly other data to make it work in the right way, okay? So what's today's reality? Gross domestic product. We're actually in a period of economic expansion and growth. If you look at since 2011, those of you in the back that probably can't see the numbers, since 2011, our gross domestic product at $15.2 trillion. As of just this past year, 2018, $20.5 trillion in gross domestic product. So that would lead me to believe that everybody in sales is killing it, right? We're all hitting our numbers, we're exceeding quota, we're all going to President's Club, right? Well, what's the reality? Only 43% of reps in 2018 actually hit their number. Okay, 43% of reps are hitting their quota in 2018. Why is that? We've got GDP going up, yet our quota attainment's going down. Now, yes, you could say, well, our CROs, our leaders are setting higher goals, they're setting higher expectations. So, yeah, but when you account for that still, how is it that you can explain this trend? How many of you are kind of experiencing this firsthand as well over, say, the last 4 or 5 years? It just seems like it's harder and harder and harder to hit quota, right? Why is that? Shouldn't have CRM solve all these problems for us? We now have a system of record, we have a tool, we have data that's allowing us to have all the information we need on our customers. Well, it's not working. And a couple reasons why. Probably can't see the numbers, but 62% of B2B buyers say that they can now develop selection criteria or finalize a vendor list solely based on digital data, which means that they're never going to talk to any of your teams until they've done that research, right? From Forrester, and I think we got some Forrester folks in the back. Shout out to Forrester. Your Chief Research and Product Officer, Cliff, says that today's B2B customers act like consumers. They're going to review sites like G2 Crowd or Trusted Reviews or some other digital medium to figure out, hey, do I really want to use this tool? Do I want to invest in this product, et cetera? And then the hardest thing, which you heard this morning, was the number of decision makers is growing. Back in 2015, the average was around 5.4. Today, it's just under 10 decision makers involved in deals. So if you're selling into large accounts, you're selling large deals, it's not one person making the decision. It's likely a committee of people. You've got the CIO org, you've got the revenue org, you've got the marketing org, whoever you're selling into. It makes your job that much more challenging. Are you guys also seeing and feeling this pain? More decision makers, your customers already know all about your products, allegedly from some other resource, and now they're coming to you and your SDRs are making those calls and they say, oh yeah, I already know all about you. You know, don't call me again, I'm going to sue you, or whatever those reactions you're going to get. So the question is, why is this happening? So your teams are getting caught in the curves. The revenue reps are only spending 34% of their time actually selling because they're busy with administrative work. And some of this is that they're spending almost 300% more time on deals that will never close. So as you see that quota going down, the reason is we're working on the wrong stuff. We're not working on the right things. How do we know that? Well, let me walk you through some of this. So part of this is it's hard to know who to target. It's hard to know how to reach them. Are they a phone person? Are they an email person? Are they a text person? Do I catch them on Twitter? Do I get them through LinkedIn or Facebook? I mean, there's how many thousands of channels it seems like that exist now, digitally and otherwise, analog, that you can reach somebody and contact them today, right? How do they behave? I'm sure many of you have experiences of certain buyers that only will answer phones at certain times of the day or certain days of the week, right? Is that true? Okay. So I know Mary Smith or Joe Johnson only answers their phone on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. They're an early riser, early bird. They're in the office at 7. They'll take phone calls from 7 to 8, and then they're done. Okay. Well, how would you know that? How would one of your reps know that? Well, you've got to have some data. You've got to have some intelligence behind that. And that's really been the problem with CRM. CRM is a system of record. It's historical data. It'll tell you what happened in the past, and it'll tell you what's in your CRM. But what if you could reach into someone else's CRM and say, hey, you were selling to Joe Johnson or Mary Smith. Can you tell me how that experience went? And so let me walk you through why the data is so fundamentally important today as to how you gain those insights to start to hit that quota achievement and that attainment. So let's just look at it, simple funnel here, right? How do we currently drive revenue? We're targeting and prioritizing the right things and optimizing engagement. So you think about it from the very top of the funnel to the very bottom. We've got marketing, we've got sales, we've got customer success. Generally speaking, this is how a lot of organizations are set up. You've got sales development. In the red, you've got account executives, you've got account managers, you've got customer success. How many of you largely sell to those kinds of organizations, or your organization is set up like this as well, right? Okay, so generally speaking, again, every organization is a little bit different. So you've got marketing, trying to do all their lead generation, build those MQLs, flow that through the sales development. I've had SDRs report to me in marketing. I've had them report to sales. Point being is that these are the primary functions that we see. And so what are you trying to do at the end of the day? If we break all this down, what are we trying to do as an organization? We're trying to build new closable pipeline. And ultimately, we're trying to retain and expand existing customers, right? And if you just break down everything, what we're trying to do. How do we do that? Well, we target, prioritize the right things, the accounts, the leads, the activities, and then ultimately, we're trying to optimize engagement across that entire revenue funnel. How do I make sure that I've engaged the right decision makers, those 9 or 10 people at the top end of that funnel, such that when I get to customer success at the bottom end of the funnel, I know I'm going to get that renewal. I know I've lost deals in the past in my career where we've lost the renewal at year 1 because we didn't engage the right buyers, the right decision makers up front. You know, you kind of snuck in. I was at Adobe for a number of years. We would sneak in, and we always said we sell to the CMO. Well, it turns out as we started to get integrated with other systems, the CIO would come in and say, hey, wait a minute, why are we investing in all these digital marketing tools? And you guys didn't go through me and get my team sign off. You know, we're gonna park this and we're gonna revisit our IT strategy. That happens. How many of you have experienced that as well? Year 1, you're not getting that renewal, right? What if you had someone sitting on your shoulder whispering to you saying, hey, you better get the CIO or the IT organization involved today, otherwise you're not going to renew a year from now. We'd have happier sellers, happier account managers, happier customer success. So why is it broken? Why is it broken today? Well, I would contend that even though we've made this investment in CRM, we're still pursuing the wrong accounts, we're still engaging the wrong leads, we're getting stuck with bad data, we're not reaching the right people, and ultimately we're chasing bad deals at a cost because of data. We have the wrong data, or we're looking at data in the wrong way, or we simply don't have access to the insights and the information we need to be successful in doing that. So what have we done? So we now have an industry of cadence tools. InsideSales.com, we were one of the early innovators in this. We built cadence tools to sit on top of CRM. So you go into Salesforce, you park your cadence tool on top of that, and all of a sudden you're supposed to be able to kind of smooth your way through those curves. Well, what if the underlying fundamental data in CRM is still not the right data? So now the industry is saying, well, wait a minute, let's apply AI to this. Let's have artificial intelligence go in and analyze the data and gain some insights. And yes, you can smooth some of those curves out, but at the end of the day, if you don't know that the behavior of Mary Smith or Joe Johnson, that they answer the phone on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., still not going to change this dynamic here, right? So what is the solution? What do you need? I would contend you don't necessarily need artificial intelligence, you need real intelligence. What's the real intelligence that accelerates revenue so you can get from that prospect to lead all the way to close to expansion. So you're targeting the right accounts, you're prioritizing the right activities, ultimately you're focusing on the right things next, right? Looks like that's easy. It's hard to do, and what that requires is data. And what you need is real intelligence to drive that revenue acceleration. So if revenue acceleration is the straight line to growth, how do we know this works? Well, let's take a look at what real intelligence is. When you actually have real intelligence, you're taking your CRM and you're applying those AI algorithms on top of that data, and then what you need to have is that collective human experience. If I'm selling to an account right now today, and every one of you in this room have sold to that account in the past, and you can come up and tap me on the shoulder and say, no, 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 don't do that. Call them at this time. That's not their email address. They respond in this way. They're not a phone person. You got to text them. Hey, their birthday is in August. You might want to send them a nice note. That's collective human experience. So what is the challenge with CRM and AI? Well, it's limited transactional data. It's transactional, it's historical, but it's incomplete. How many of you have perfect CRM data, perfect visibility into every one of your accounts and prospects? Yeah, I'm sure lots of hands go up. Of course not. We don't. What if you had data that could augment and fill in those holes in your CRM, correct those mistakes? How many of you have records or accounts where you might have multiple versions of that account? So take Disney, for example. I don't know how many times I've gone into Salesforce and I've seen Disney Incorporated, Walt Disney Company, Disney Parks and Resorts. Yes, there's different accounts, different brands, I get that. But we all know the saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you have sellers and reps entering garbage in, how do you make sure that you're not getting garbage out as a result of that? So the key is collective human experience. Those are all those insights from customers and sellers buying and selling, all those transactions, every time a phone call is made, every time an email is sent, every time a text message is engaged. It's based on three things: behavioral, real time, and it's actionable. So what if your CRM could constantly be updated with behavioral information saying, Mary Smith just picked up her phone at 8:04 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And you know that you could record that, and then you could apply that to your selling motions. That would be cool. How do we know this works? Sounds like a great theory, right? How do we know this works? Well, we know it works because all of us are doing this every single day. Every time we shop on Amazon, we are crowdsourcing our shopping. People who bought X also bought Y. People who like this product rate this favorably. Think about Waze. And we like to think of ourselves as Waze for sales. It's collaborative navigation. Waze is actually 23% more accurate than Apple Maps. Why? Because they have a better UI or a better screen? No. It's because all of you that are using Waze are in real time plugging into that platform saying, I saw a pothole, there's an accident, there's a cop here. You want to take this exit because the next exit's blocked. Whatever that might be. That's real time, behaviorable, actionable information. So when you guys are navigating up and down the 101, and you can make a decision on, yeah, I'm going to take this other exit because I know this one got messed up. And lastly, Netflix. Of course, everyone here is probably, or a lot of people here probably watch on Netflix. Collective behaviors. Do you know that you're only actually seeing 6% of the entire Netflix catalog when you log into Netflix? And that's because Netflix has their algorithms, but all that collective behavioral information from all of the viewers saying, hey, if you like to watch this one movie or this one TV series, you also like this other one, okay? So we know this works. We're leveraging the wisdom of the crowd. And so that's what we're doing in our business is we're taking that wisdom of the crowd. We have nearly 10 billion revenue interactions that we've plugged into a platform. And I'll show you how that works in a second. So at the bottom line of all this is that data is the new oil. This is the economic means of your being able to connect with your buyers, having your sellers effectively engage the buyers based on behavior, not just historical transactional, hey, we know Mary Smith is the chief revenue officer of this account, et cetera, right? Because that information changed. We just heard this in the last hour. What happens if Mary's out and Joni's in? How do we know that? Unless that's been updated in real time from one of your sellers in this room that just had that call that said, oh, Mary's out, Joni's in. Great, I just updated that. So that's exactly what we're doing. So let me show you what this looks like in action. So what you should be able to do when you have real intelligence, when you have this ability of having thousands of sellers sitting on your shoulders of your SDRs and your sales reps saying, do this, don't do that. This is what it might look like. So this is CRM today, right? It's just a list, right? How do I know that the person at the top of the list is really the first person my team should be calling? I don't know that, right? But what if I had thousands of other sellers that went through and engaged in those transactions, engaged in those calls, and they said, hey, I'm currently trying to reach Kyle Witt, who's the VP of IT at Groupon. And what if all of this collective wisdom told me, you know what? You have an 89% propensity of selling to Kyle because we know he's actually the VP of IT. He's in place, right? And so I'm going to make a phone call to Kyle. Well, how do I know I'm getting the right number? Well, what if the system, what if the collective wisdom told me a call to this number was just answered 6 days ago? That gives me a high level of confidence that if I call that number, Kyle's going to answer, right? And it's not just setting up the call, it's when do I call Kyle, what time of day, et cetera. Let's now move to a play where we're going to do an email follow-up. We've had the successful call with Kyle. My team forgot to get the email address. We don't actually have that validated. And what we have in our CRM system is questionable. What if the collective wisdom said, hey, you know what, Kyle.Witt at Groupon.com, there's a 92% open rate. What if that collective wisdom could tell you that? Whereas in your CRM, you may have had K-Witt at Groupon, which only has a 5% chance of reaching him. Whereas that Kyle.Witt, that is your best opportunity to connect. Again, that's not in your CRM. That's something that we learned from the collective wisdom of all these other sellers that have already engaged Kyle in the past. And so lastly, as we look at this, we say, okay, well, how do we know when Kyle responds to email? What if we could actually set it up a cadence so that the engagement goes out at 3 p.m. on this particular day? Because we know Kyle happens to behaviorally respond to emails better at 3 o'clock, and you have a propensity to respond score or a level of confidence that will tell you that. And then lastly, if you think about this, okay, we're trying to win the account at Groupon. People who call Kyle at Groupon also call these people. Again, think about this in the context of Amazon. People who bought product A also bought product B. There's a relationship between that. What if I were to learn that, and it's not from my CRM, but it's from all these other sellers and buyer motions saying, Natalie Young is the VP of IT for EMEA at Groupon. There's a score for her as far as if you don't get Natalie involved in the deal, you're not going to close the deal. What about Kara or Hamed, who's the regional director? These are all additional people at Groupon you should also start engaging. Again, they don't exist in my CRM. I'm not getting it from discover.org or ZoomInfo or any other data source. This is something I've learned because of the collective wisdom of all these other sellers that are part of this platform. So the benefits, if you're trying to drive revenue acceleration, the benefits being be more effective, do more of the right things at the right time with the right people, have visibility, find where that hidden value is, because again, you're relying on the collective wisdom. It's the wisdom of the crowd, thousands of other sellers who have already gone through this. And then ultimately drive alignment. So your revenue teams can now unify their efforts across departments. So the SDRs to the account executives, all the way through customer success, can be better aligned around seeing that visibility, having that effectiveness, ultimately driving that revenue acceleration to close business faster. Okay? We know this works. Just so happens that we've implemented this at American Express, Groupon, T-Mobile, and Infor. They're all seeing great success from this approach. They're all adopting more and more of this platform, plugging this into their systems so that they can, again, take that wisdom of the crowd, take that real intelligence, and drive that revenue acceleration forward. With that said, I'm happy to take questions. Thank you. Question in the back.
Hang on, we got a mic.
Yep, we want to get a mic.